After a rocky back to school and bus drivers on the picket line, we've got team coverage as a temporary deal is reached.
And today in court, Connecticut's police unions arguing to keep the names of the troopers believed to be involved in that ticket scandal private. We'll hear from both sides about what's happening.
Plus, paras at Connecticut schools crying there's a crisis in the classrooms. How the state is stepping up to get them more pay.
And a strange video of a bear bandit will show you how he broke into a home, and even more strange, what he grabbed from the fridge. That's all ahead.
Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And good evening, and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. As most people head back to work in schools, some of the hottest weather of the summer has actually just arrived.
Yeah, meteorologist Ryan Breton is live in Hartford now with how things are going in the city. How's it feel out there, Ryan?
Brent and Sarah, I don't think it's really the heat that I'm really noticing right now, but it is the humidity, and that's going to be a big factor not only tonight, but over each of the next couple of days. Let's talk a little bit about some of the alerts that are in place right now for parts of the state. There is an air quality alert for parts of the shoreline, New Haven County and New London County. This is not in effect for wildfire smoke, which we saw so much of over the last few months. It's actually for ground level ozone. The sun kind of heating up the particulate matter in the atmosphere and generating that smog or ozone in some spots this afternoon. There also is a heat advisory, which today was in effect for Hartford County. Tomorrow and into Thursday, it's in effect for much more of the state. And in those areas shaded in orange, it's possible the heat index, or how it feels each afternoon, tomorrow afternoon and Thursday afternoon, will be above 95 degrees, and it may feel as high as 100 degrees in some spots. Today we did hit 90, making it day one of this heat wave, but it's been a while. We haven't hit the 90-degree mark since back on July 28th in the Hartford area, and it's only the 13th time this year, and we averaged 20 90-degree days so far this year. Now today, day one of the heat wave, and really today is when most people started to feel the effects of it. In Hartford, East Hartford, and many other communities, they've opened up cooling centers. But since we're past Labor Day, there aren't too many splash pads and pools open. You'll find a few. But out there today, we ran into the Hartford Fire Department, dropping off some water and checking in with how people were doing.
We're out here, Special Services Unit, which is a division from the Hartford Fire Department, going out and delivering water to those folks that are not able to make those cooling centers. We're out about, walking through the streets and just need a break.
And I really think that's the key here. You've got to make sure you're hydrating over the next couple of days, especially because it will not be cooling down at night. The nights are longer these days, but we won't have the classic September feel anytime soon. And for much more on that, we'll send it inside to Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank. Hi, Rachel.
Yeah, the heat goes on right through the end of the week with a heat index, again, as Ryan was talking about, 95 or hotter right through the end of the work and school week for the kiddos in the classrooms that don't all have air conditioners. Most do not. Taking a look, we got really close to the daily record high temperature for the day in the Hartford area. The record's 93. We got 1 degree shy of that today. In Bridgeport, we didn't get close to the record, but the New Haven area, which is not the official climate site, did get up to 93 degrees. So parts of the shoreline did experience that heat today. And here's a look at current temperatures, which are down from our high of the day. As the days start to get a little bit shorter, you end up seeing the high temperature occur earlier in the day. Taking a look at the heat index, how hot it feels when you combine the heat and the humidity, right now in the low to mid 90s for most of the state. Heading through the evening tonight, it remains warm and humid. As Ryan said, it's tough to cool off your home when you don't have those comfy early September temperatures. We'll drop back towards 70 as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll do it all over again. Lots of sunshine. We've got the heat. We have the humidity. Highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. The hottest day this week is likely on Thursday, when actual high temperatures will climb into the mid 90s. We'll talk about a rising chance for a shower or storm to finish the week coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. A child has been hit after getting off the school bus. Happened this afternoon. Here's what we know. It was around 3 p.m. in Watertown when an 11-year-old girl was dropped off by her bus, and then moments later, when she tried to cross Buckingham Street, she was hit. We don't know yet what her injuries are, but police tell us she was taken by ambulance to a hospital. They also told us the vehicle involved stayed on scene. The driver is cooperating. We will continue to closely cover this story, and we'll update you on the news at 10 and 11. 11 tonight.
And tonight we're learning the teen who was hit by a car pinned against a Yukon building during move-in day has died. 16-year-old Kellen McIntosh was helping his sister move into the North Residence Halls complex just before 10 p.m. Sunday. They believe he tried to stop the vehicle when it started to roll. A GoFundMe set up in his honor says he died from his injuries at the hospital. The medical examiner tells Fox 61 they're ruling his death an accident.
Yukon police are asking for the public's help as they search for a missing student. 19-year-old Furong Betty Lee was last seen in the area of Whitney Hall on Sunday. Officials say they are trying to determine her location and make sure she's okay. They say it is possible Lee left campus voluntarily. Take a close look at the pictures on your screen here. Anyone with any information about her whereabouts should contact Yukon police. Well, after days of uncertainty for Meriden parents, the district says buses should be running as normal tomorrow after the services were halted for 2 days while the union representing the bus drivers went on strike.
And tonight that strike's ending after an agreement is reached. Fox 61's New Haven County Bureau reporter Julia LeBlanc joins us from the bus lot on North Broad Street where the union signed that agreement this afternoon. Julia.
Bus lot this afternoon getting together, sign.
Final tally of the vote, 30 yes, 1 no. We're going back to work tomorrow.
After 2 days of going on strike, Meriden bus drivers with Teamsters Local 671 have reached a temporary agreement with the Board of Education to terminate their relationship with New Britain Transportation.
We just raised the worst contract in the state. That's going to help every single school bus driver all across the state.
Nick Frangimore has been representing the union throughout the entire process. This agreement, he says, will bring those 60-plus members a 6% raise, comparable to other school bus drivers in the area. And though they'll be back at work with the same company tomorrow, they won't be working for them in the near future.
There's enough protection today that we're comfortable going to work, and the drivers are relieved to be able to go do what they do. They love picking up the kids.
I love my kids and I love the parents, and now I'm finally going to be getting, compensated for appropriately.
Alicia Sear has been a Meriden school bus driver for 22 years. She was the first person to vote yes on this agreement. And after being forced to go on strike, she couldn't be more relieved.
I wasn't sleeping at night, not eating, and it's very nerve-wracking, but we're glad it's over, and we're glad we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Back to work tomorrow, and that will be paid by New Britain Transportation. Now, we reached out to MBT, and the president responded saying he's happy that they've reached an agreement, and they're looking forward to bringing kids to the Meriden school system tomorrow. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Julia, thank you. Meanwhile, the press conference with city officials and other leaders who've been behind this negotiation process just wrapped up.
And our team coverage continues on Connecticut's news station with Fox 61's Gabby Molina. She's live in Meriden. So, Gabby, what did they have to say?
Well, Brent and Sarah, Meriden officials say that ultimately the contract negotiations were between New Britain Transportation and the Teamsters, but the city did get involved because their goal was to get the students back on the buses as soon as possible. Now, the Meriden Board of Education has terminated its contract with New Britain Transportation, but part of the temporary agreement that has been reached is that they will be used until December. In the meantime, the city will be accepting bids from other companies, and officials say that at least 2 companies have already expressed their interest. Open positions within the Board of Ed have been frozen for now until the city can determine how much the new company will cost to hire. Officials say it's hard to predict an exact timeline, but their hope is to have everything done in about 6 weeks. The Board of Ed said its legal team was brought in to help with negotiations, though again, they were not directly involved.
What the board did is they basically said, look, we want to work with both of you. We're going to violate the contract and move forward because that's what legally we need to do. We're not looking to take legal action. We're looking to get kids on buses, and that I think was a big step for the board to take.
Meriden officials say that they believe that a majority of the drivers will be back driving the buses tomorrow, but they do want to warn families that they may have to be patient just a little bit longer. There may be some bumps in the road and everything might not be back to 100% normal tomorrow morning. Live in Meriden, Gabby Molina, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Gabby. Now, in Coventry, bus drivers were on the picket line today for day one of a strike. The drivers are asking for competitive wages in line with other local companies, plus paid holidays and better health and retirement benefits. The strike could also trigger bus driver strikes in other districts like Bolton and Stafford Public Schools. We've reached out to the M&J Bus Company but haven't heard back.
Well, tonight, New Haven police investigating a homicide and 2 other shootings. Police say they responded to a shooting on Winthrop Avenue around 1 this morning, and that's where they found LaRon Vaughn suffering from a gunshot wound. He died from his injuries, and police are still searching for suspects in this shooting. About 2 hours before that, a gunshot victim walked into the hospital claiming he was robbed in the area of Chapel Street and Ella T. Grasso Boulevard. He said he had met the person online. And then an hour before that, another gunshot victim also showed up at the hospital. That person told police they were shot after an argument at a home on Woolsey Street. All of these incidents are being actively investigated tonight, and we'll update you as we learn more. And we continue our coverage of the ticketing scandal involving Connecticut State Police. Today, a judge heard arguments on a request to block the release of the names of troopers believed to be involved.
Fox 61's Matt Karen joins us in studio to break down the arguments from both the State Police Union and the media outlets who requested the information. Matt.
Well, the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act was enacted in 1975 as a way for any member of the public, media or not, to gain access to governmental records for the purposes of transparency and accountability. There are, however, limited exemptions that would allow for the denial of a FOIA request.
I will take this all under consideration. You'll receive notice of my decision.
To release or not release, the Honorable Judge Rupal Shahad now has a decision to make.
We're not in the business of trying to protect troopers who did something wrong. We're in the business of trying to protect troopers who didn't do anything wrong.
The Superior Court hearing arguments Tuesday on an injunction to block the public release of 130 names and badge numbers of Connecticut state troopers believed to have falsified thousands of traffic tickets to skew state racial profiling data.
It seems abundantly unsafe to disclose names of people who may be cleared.
The union argues of those 130 names, 20 have already been cleared of wrongdoing. They leaned on the sensitivity of ongoing investigations. And they also say a release of names could jeopardize trooper safety, citing a social media threat against the agency that is now the subject of a criminal investigation.
The threat has been made that could endanger the lives of the people on a list, some of whom may have done absolutely, positively nothing wrong.
On the other side, media agencies, the Connecticut Mirror and The Day, their attorneys arguing that the Superior Court doesn't have the legal authority or jurisdiction to make a ruling in the case at all.
You're opening a door so people can run to the Superior Court if they somehow think that there's an issue that's going to come out the wrong way.
An attorney from the Freedom of Information Commission adding that the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, the agency that oversees the state police, doesn't have sole authority and didn't properly follow steps to deny a FOIA request.
What the plaintiff is asking the court to do here would essentially scrap that entire process, scrap what the statute says, scrap what the Supreme Court said is supposed to happen.
And attorneys for the media agencies say the primary authority on FOIA issues should be the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act Commission. If you are interested in learning about the limited list of exemptions an agency can cite to avoid releasing a public record, we have that information on our website, fox61.com. In the studio, Matt Karen, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.